Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Knack. We've got that live tournament action coming at you. It is going to be sGShOoTER and Lobber, another PvP here. I'm actually pretty impressed that sGShOoTER taken down good old DDox there in that last match. Wow, no, I was actually really impressed with DDox as well. But here we are. It is a PvP. It is game one of a best of three. And I am a poet, and several of you may have known it. But here we go regardless. It is Lobber as yellow, kicking it up here at the top right-hand corner. In the bottom left, it is sGShOoTER. He is going to be orange. Now, it is just going to be solo casting for the while. We did have Windy out tonight, and man, he put in so much work this evening. Unbelievable amounts of stuff. Everybody, when you see Windy out and about, do give him a big fat high five. He absolutely deserves it. What a great help he is to all Starcraft. And to making this tournament run the way that it has. So sGShOoTER here, going to be chrono boosting out. Just standard openers so far, so good. We'll see if we're going to see any deviations. And we do need to keep track on sGShOoTER's little build order here. See if we can pick up some intel. But I'll tell you, man, I don't know. I'm a little worried. But looks like he's going pretty standard this time. There's your 13 gateway. That's exactly what we want to see. But notice he's continuing to chrono here and really working economically. So that's 3 chronos now out of sGShOoTER. While back over here at Lobber, same type of deal actually, strangely enough. He is going to be chrono boosting there as well. Gateway's going down just about the same time. However, Lobber did go a little bit sooner. In fact, I think he went 12 gateway instead of 13. It's a little bit faster. That does indicate that he may be going for some aggression, trying to get out the warp gate technology just a little bit sooner. In the meantime, sGShOoTER getting some good scouting intel. He does see what's going on, the single gas, and we're about to see, I would assume, Cybercore. There goes your Cybercore from Lobber. Back over here for sGShOoTER, we do have his gateway completing just now, and a Cybercore in time, buddy. There we go. Cybercore has gone down for sGShOoTER as well. A little bit behind, but mostly because his gateway was slightly behind, but not too bad there at all. Should be able to catch up just fine, especially if he plays defensively, which I assume at this point that's what we're going to see here. He's been playing very defensively all night in his PvPs. Taking his second gas here pretty quick. And it looks like Lobber about to open with his 2 gateways and chrono boosting out now his Cybercore. Getting that warp gate technology up and running very quickly, but notice the scout here from sGShOoTER, still scouting around, does see everything that's going on, sees the second gateway. See how Lobber's going to continue here. Probably not going to make a feint, but there's still a possibility. But my guess is he is going to stick with this, probably going to turn this into a 4-gate play. Notice that he does have some probes cruising around the map here. And a Zealot now going to try and maintain a little bit of map control. Looks like sGShOoTER's probe might be in danger unless he grabs that guy and gets him out of the way. There we go. Did take 2 hits, however, but not too bad. Back over here at sGShOoTER's base, we do have another pylon going down, interestingly enough. So what are we going to see here? Another gateway. 2 gates now out of sGShOoTER. He does have his typical double zealots and a sentry at the ramp, gearing up for his defense. It looks like Lobber is going to be pushing forward for the 4-gate here in just a few moments, grabbing his second gas, but still no more 3rd and 4th gateways. So actually, I don't know. Maybe he's just going to go 2-gate. Who could tell? But there's his second gas, so my guess is he's going to need at least 1 more gateway here. Does have a pylon going down in a forward position, moving his army units into position as well, and a couple more now cruising out across the field. There goes his robotics. So it's 2 gates, 1 robo at this point for Lobber. Interesting little play there. Back over here for sGShOoTER, we do have 3 gateways now out on the field, and he is just going to be trying to keep this ramp protected at this point. Nice play. Nicely done. Good force field, but he does lose 1 sentry there fairly quickly. It's something that he's got to be careful of. Cannot afford to lose that. Keep this sentry there. Keep that blocked. Going to go chase this guy down. Got to get his warp gates up now, and he is going to be in just fine shape as long as he can continue to block this. Uh-oh. May not be able to. He does not have another sentry, and look at this. He does pick off 1 sentry, however, and enough to force Lobber back, strangely enough. And we do have a couple zealots about to come join this army, and Lobber going to try again. 50 energy. And he does go ahead and trap 2 zealots. So nice pick there. And Lobber starting to fall a little bit behind, and Shooter really showing a lot of strength in this particular game. And grabbing a robotics facility now of his own. Going to start production of those Immortals. Back over here on Lobber's side of the map, we do have an Immortal on the way. He's just now picking out that Observer. Did not get his Twilight Council, so no blink play out of Lobber or anything like that. Nothing out of Shooter in that regard either. But he does have a pretty nice defensive posture here. He is ahead in the supply count, not by tons, but plenty enough at this point to be feeling pretty comfortable. Both of these guys are at 27 probes. Lobber starting to pick up a little. Maybe going to go for an expansion here. He is starting to produce more. Well, he stalled production there, but he is up 1. I guess every little bit counts at this point. Here comes his scout. He is going to see the strength of the army. Shooter going to be trying to get another scout out as well. Looking to be in pretty decent shape. And look at this. Shooter is going for a Twilight Council there. Wow. Maybe you're going to see some blink here out of Shooter yet again. Blink stalker play tends to be extremely effective. More pawns going down. Got to keep yourself from getting supply blocked, and currently Lobber is a little bit supply blocked, not by tons, but enough to stall production of an Immortal. But he does have 2 out on the field already. He does have his Nexus gone down in pretty decent time and is currently backing out with his units. Now I do expect to see Shooter go for an expansion here in just a moment. Either that or a very large attack. Notice he is grabbing that blink out. Chrono boosting out, however, his Immortals. Wants to beef up his Immortal numbers, which I don't blame him there. The Immortals are going to be a key element to this battle. But Lobber is ahead. He does have his 3rd one on the way right now, giving him a very significant advantage, especially if Shooter does have to walk all the way across the map. Oof, terrible. Looks like Lobber is going to beat him to the punch. He's headed out here to the forward position. In the meantime, Shooter does pick up the rest of his units, and he's going to head out here, kill off this pylon, and start to maintain some map control. We should see him blind these towers, pick up the towers here in just a moment, and see if he can't go in for a small push. He is going to have blink prepared by the time he makes it over to that side of the map, and I'm interested to see if he is going to go for another or an expansion here, but he is grabbing a 4th gateway, so my guess is probably not. Chrono going down on that blink play. Lobber does catch wind of this. He is backing out as quickly as he can, getting himself set up defensively. Now notice that he does have triple Immortals though, joined by a 4th. Smart play here though from Shooter. Take out these rocks. Taking out the rocks, a very good idea. You want to open up this ramp. Trying to engage on this choke is going to give Lobber the opportunity to block you off with his sentries. Notice that Lobber splitting his units up here pretty well. Shooter going to get down a forward pylon, waiting for a couple warp-ins, and he is definitely going to be going for an attack here. But I want to mention, Lobber is way ahead in those Immortals. Great force fields going down here. He's going to pick off a couple free kills there before these guys do get themselves into position. He's got enough energy for more force fields just like that one. So Shooter probably is going to need to transition here or get very, very lucky. Look at that, 5 Immortals now for Lobber. I think this is going to be a great time for Shooter to back out. Lobber is picking up a substantial supply lead as well. Part of that is because his economy is beefing up. He does have 32 probes now, 227. Man, I'll tell you, crazy train at this point. A little bit of back and forth, but Shooter probably does need to transition here. But he is putting down another forward pylon. Looks like he's going to try and get a flank on his opponent here. Trying to utilize blink as well as very, very smart play. But a zealot, a little bit of a zealot flank actually would work really well, especially since he is going to grab charge. I like this play from him. It is kind of all in a sense. I mean, he's on 4 gates, 1 robo. He had to put down a Twilight Council, and now he's picking up a Templar Archive of all things. This is a lot to do off of 1 base. And his minerals are actually getting relatively low, so if this does not work for him, you can call it a solid GG, guys. It's going to be tough. That I can tell you. But he is beefing up here. He's got a lot of zealots here. Are these guys going to join in? I hope they're going for the flank. That's what I'd really like to see. I'd like to see him cruise up this ramp as he's getting prepared for an assault here. Bait those force fields. And as soon as the force fields start to break, charge in with the lots, try and get a good flank there, and see if you can't make it happen. But we'll see how he's going to be able to do that here in just a few moments. But look at this. Guess what Lobber's doing? Sending out a warp prism. He's going to scout this position back here. Shooter sees this right away. Does not have anything to deal with it, unfortunately. Otherwise, he probably would have picked it off there pretty quickly. Look at that. He is going to start charging in. Here comes your main attack. We've got these Zealots going down here, and the rest of these guys trying to go up this ramp where you've got a lot of force fields and a lot of Immortals. But these Zealots do charge in. They are going to get a good, decent surround here for just a moment. And these ranged units down here on the low ground doing a pretty decent amount of damage. Shooter now ahead in the supply count for the first time in a little while. His Immortals are still alive, and it looks as though he will be able to potentially take down game number 1. He does now have to worry about this Colossus, however, but it looks as though it is going to go down. And Lobber saying that he is bad. Lobber, that is absolutely not true, but he does give the GG. And that I do agree with. Definitely a very good game there. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for watching. Game number 2 headed your way here in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Knack. We do have live tournament action still coming at you. It is Lobber vs. Shooter. And Shooter actually doing a phenomenal job there in game number 1. Taking it down with a 1 base play, and actually it was quite risky. Towards the end there, his main was about to be mined out, and if it did not go down, I'll tell you, that would have been problematic. It would have been an instant GG type of scenario for Lobber, but Lobber did get taken off guard by those charge lots coming in from the flank. I thought it was a smart maneuver there from Shooter. So here we are in game 2. It is match point for Shooter because best of 3, man. Still just best of 3. But phenomenal players battling it out. It is going to be Lobber down here at the 8 o'clock position. He's going to be purple Protoss this time. He said to me between games that he was a little bit confused because they were playing orange-yellow, and he couldn't tell which Zealots were which. It's like, man, I don't blame you there. That is brutal stuff. So he did switch his color there on purpose so that he would be able to see what exactly is going on. So smart play there. Shooter up here at the 2 o'clock. It does force cross-position spawns here on GSL's Antigua shipyard. It looks like we've got a probe for Shooter. Where is this guy going? Looks like he was just checking for any forward pylons. Making sure he's not getting 2 gate rushed. So smart little scout maneuver there from Shooter. In the meantime, Lobber has not moved a muscle. He is just sitting here building and mining away to his heart's content, tossing down another pylon as well. Great timing so far from both of these players, but it looks as though Lobber is slightly ahead on his gateway yet again. Looks like he may have gone for 12 there, while Shooter did go for a 13 gateway. Good stuff though, but it is about to complete. We're going to see your cyber core. Oh my goodness. And Lobber mistakenly pulling too many probes. Looks like he's a little bit upset there. That's alright, it does happen. Nicely done. He did get back to mining there fairly quickly. So good control at least. Everybody makes small mistakes, but it doesn't look like he lost much ground. So should be just fine. In the meantime, Shooter is getting a great scout out. And here comes Lobber's scout. He's going to try and poke up here. Wants to see what's going on. And Lobber says, well, I've basically lost. And Shooter says, well, GG. Funny. Just give the scout out. He can't feel that far behind at this point. But Shooter is definitely very strong this evening. And I think that he is back on target for his initial build orders. So I'm a little bit more impressed in that last game than I was in the match before, where his build seemed to just be a little bit off. Looks like he did lose his scout here. Nice pick there from this little zealot. Gotta get some of my cocktail. It is called Vicks Custom Care. It says custom care, but they produce it in bulk. So how is that custom? Lobber with his 2-gate opener here. He's going to have that in position here pretty quick. Actually, 3 gates. I take that back. So 3rd gate has gone down in the back there. In the meantime, it looks like Shooter is going to be tossing down his 2nd gate here. Just a little bit behind, but continuing to chrono boost out units from his gateway here, as well as trying to chrono boost out his cyber core. So interesting little play there. And it looks like Lobber taking a forward position, moving his Stalker and Zealot out across this map. And he's producing actually quite a bit. I think he may go for a 3-gate push. 3-gate push, and not too bad of an idea. There goes your forward pylon from Lobber. Nice little spot. Is a great way to warp in units. I like putting it here or here. They're basically the same thing. But here comes Lobber's. Oh wow, so close. That little probe there sneaking by, and he's going to put down another pylon. Actually, almost getting it down. Didn't quite get it. There he goes. Should be able to get that one down, and that will enable him to warp in on the high ground when the time comes. So Lobber is going for this 3-gate play. Shooter grabbing out his robotics facility. See if he's going to be able to get his robotics up and running the way that he needs to. He needs to get that, get those guys out. But right now he's blocking his ramp. Should be able to potentially snipe this pylon if he does grab another sentry. But no force field here, and it looks like Lobber is going to make his way up to the high ground. For just a moment, he did get a couple warp-ins there. Some zealots coming in, and they're whapping away at these stalkers, but these stalkers still in the back, so I don't know. Shooter, though, is in a little bit of trouble. Doing some kiting here, trying to deal with these zealots, and he's going to need these guys at the front gate. Looks like these sentries are going down, and Lobber now pushing through is going to really put the pressure on. Oh my goodness. He may very well unpower this robotics. Wow. Robotics about to get unpowered, and that is going to be quite a loss here for Shooter, who is actually starting to fall behind in the army count in general as well. And there is your GG from Shooter. My goodness. Well played as well. Game number 2 going to Lobber. That ties it up. It's going to take us into an ace match here in just a few moments. We'll catch you guys then. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Knack. Here is Game 3 between Shooter and Lobber, and this has been quite a nice little series. A lot of PvPs we've seen lately in this wonderful AGL Invitational. It is our monthly tournament. There's a $250 prize pool on the line here, and these guys still fighting out, currently in the losers bracket. So unfortunately, one of these players will go home right here, right now. Now, it was Shooter's map pick, so hopefully he's going to find this map advantageous to him. He did choose Calm Before the Storm. It is an enormous map, and quite honestly, is going to be kicked out of our map pool come next month. So that's okay. I like this map while it lasted, but apparently people are pretty upset with it for some reasons, and well, it's okay. So we move on. There are some nice new maps out, and we'll be starting to play on those here in just a little bit. But getting into this match. Game 3. Shooter is going to be our orange Protoss player. He's kicking it over here in the bottom left-hand corner. And in the bottom right, it is Lobber. He is going to be our purple Protoss. Tossing down his gateway there at 12 as usual. Good standard opener here from Lobber, and Shooter tossing his down as well. Looks like he may have got it out at 13. Indeed he did. So we waited to queue up his 13th probe and then tossed it down, which does put it a few seconds behind, but not by very much. In the meantime, looks like we're going to see some scouting coming out from Shooter. He's headed out around the long... He's taken the long route, let's put it that way. Headed to the wrong bases first, but that's okay. You never can tell. Just goes to show you never can tell. Love that song. Double gas going down here for Lobber. Interesting. So we're going to see some tech out of him here. Either that or a sentry expand. One or the other. Shooter, in the meantime, just on the 1 gas for now. He is going to be tossing down that gateway in pretty decent time. And there goes your Cyber Core. Cyber Core 4. Lobber, however, is indeed ahead, but not by tons. But it does make a slight difference there. So there's your Cyber Core 4 Lobber. Now, always interesting to me to see the placements that Protoss put their buildings in. I'm one that likes to never, ever have an Artosis pylon, if you will. I just don't like doing it, so I tend to stack my pylons in 2s at least. So if my second pylon will usually go down right next to this one, but Lobber clearly not concerned about that nearly as much as I am. And it looks like Shooter not really concerned about it that much either, but we've seen it come into play several times in our frequent PvP games here, that Artosis pylons getting sniped, and it does cost people the game very frequently, and not infrequently, let's put it that way. But look at this. Shooter with his standard opener got his double zealots out first. He loves this. He's always grabbing 2 zealots, boom boom, and then he goes for either a sentry or a stalker, and in this case it is going to be a stalker. Looks like he is going to gear up for an expand, interestingly enough, and he's cruising down here with his scout trying to figure out what's going on, but looks like his poor scout is going to die. Indeed he does. But there's Shooter's base. It has been taken. Now in this position, you really got to grab out your sentries, man. So if you're going to take that early expand, sentries are going to help you keep this base free and clear of invading units. That's what you got to do to win. We'll see, but Lobber in pretty decent shape here. He does have Double gateways at this point. Probably going to see a couple more out of him. He is about to have his warp gate technology complete, and he's behind on his second gates. Oh, I see what he's doing. He's going for a robotics facility. It looked like he was going to go for a 4-gate there for just a moment, but it would have been a little bit late considering. But moving out across the field now, we're probably going to see some forward pylons go down in just a moment. Shooter going to take this opportunity to go ahead and wall off his front gate, though. Always an interesting play. Now, we did see that in his earlier match, and I don't know. I think that he doesn't necessarily need it. As long as he's got great force fields, there's not really much reason to to be walling this off. So force fielding is the key, which means just take your second gas a little bit earlier and chrono boost out your sentry first instead of a stalker. But that's just me. And but I cannot beat Shooter, so Shooter does know better than I do in this particular situation. So here we go. He is going to have now plenty of sentries, and apparently in just fine time. Lobber now taking a base of his own. It is a little bit behind, but not by much. As long as you get down before the 7-minute mark, you should be okay. At least have the ability to make up the difference there. Another base, or gas rather, going down for Shooter here. That's going to be gas number 3, and Lobber has transitioned into Stargate play. Notice he does have Void Ray coming out of the back here. Nice placement there, and he is also grabbing an Immortal. So Immortals and Void Rays, my new favorite combination. And he's going to give it a shot. What can I say? But I am super pleased with that. Let's just check in on our units tab. 26 for Lobber, 35 for Shooter. Shooter always true to form, going for his economic play here. Taking his 4th gas now, is continuing to chrono boost out his economy, and has got a pretty nice defense at the front gate. Let's see what he's transitioning into. Guess what? It is robotics facility. He's going to need plenty of stalkers, though, to deal with the Void Rays. That's the key here. He has not scouted that yet, so could get caught off guard. Lobber making a smart play here, trying to catch his opponent off guard, a little bit out of position. I think maybe he noticed in games number 1 and 2 that Shooter tends to not get tons of stalkers. He likes to get out a lot of zealots, likes to try and transition a little bit later than normal, and get a lot of sentries and zealots out, as well as he likes to rebuild buildings a lot. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Shooter. Love you, Shooter. Such a great player. I was really pleased that he would come out at such short notice. We did have an open spot in the bracket tonight, and Shooter was kind enough to come out and play for us, and is actually doing quite well. Now, I mentioned before they are in the losers bracket, however, so one of these guys does go home after this game. Sad deal to lose one of these two. Such phenomenal players, such phenomenal guys in general. I'll tell you, if I could pay everybody, I would. Just to play StarCraft, I would. And hopefully one day we'll be able to pay at least a couple people on a pro team. Do check out Team Alt. We do have profiles on our altstarcraft.com. Check it out. It is tons of fun, and we're about to have our forums up, so you guys on YouTube will probably have the forums already available by the time you see this video. But it looks like Shooter in pretty decent shape. He is going to be working on some robotics facility tech units. Getting out an Immortal here is always a good idea. He is currently ahead in the supply count and grabbing out his robotics bay. Where's he putting it? Back here in the back. Not bad. So Colossus are going to be on the way. But this is actually a good deal for Lobber, who is beefing up with a lot of Void Rays. Continuing to chrono boost it out. Number 4 about to join on the field here, and he's going to start headed out across the map. He's got 4 Immortals, 4 Void Rays, a good couple Stalkers here. This is going to be a scary little push, come to think of it, and Shooter does need to catch wind of it one way or another. He's moving down here to the low ground, and actually half expect to see him take an expansion here, strangely enough. And he's about to start producing some Colossus. Here comes your engage, blinking forward there for Shooter. Going to take out a couple units for free is not a bad deal. And he does have plenty of Stalkers out on the field, so quite frankly, I think defensively, he's got this covered. And that is going to be bad news here for Lobber, who is currently a little bit behind in the economy. Checking that unit tab, it's actually not bad now. He's closed the gap quite a bit. He's up to 42, Shooter is at 46, but Shooter I think is about ready to take an expansion, as well as we do need to note that he has got Colossus in production. Nicely done there. Great DPS unit, will obliterate everything on the ground. However, Void Rays will do additional damage to this guy. And considering the Void Rays are actually in fairly high number, having 4 of them out on the field is a big deal. So, I mean, that will kind of nullify those Colossus, I think, in some ways, but even getting a couple shots off is sometimes can be cost effective. But here comes some attack from Lobber. Going to try and snipe the Nexus down here. That's actually brutal. Shooter trying to get himself in position to defend this. Blink going down, but look at this. The Nexus is going to die. Interesting play. Great job there from Lobber. That is going to slow Shooter down. I do expect to see Shooter take another base here immediately because he's going to need to beef that back up as well as move out here to this front position to defend. Any pushes that might come that way. Yep, there goes this second base. I think a smart play here, but what a nice pick from Lobber. Really doing a great job, and now taking a third base of his own. That's going to put him significantly ahead. But Shooter does have a pretty nice unit composition, and a push here may be very well warranted. And actually, quite honestly, he might do just the right amount of damage. But look at that, 6 Immortals here from Lobber. That's a pretty beefy little group of guys there. How you guys doing, man? They always remind me of that one movie, what's it? The Fifth Element. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. For some reason, they look like something I saw in that movie. Those, you know, those alien guys that have the little keys. I don't know. Always reminded me of that. I'm probably crazy, but what can I say? Join the club. Shooter behind in the economy here for just a little while, but that's going to be remedied here momentarily. His third base will be complete. And he is keeping pretty decent map control at this point. Going to be moving forward, though, with double Colossus. Not too many Immortals in this mix, though. That's the scariest part here to me, is how many Immortals Lobber has. And I just think that Shooter is going to need a lot of Immortals, or at least a couple more, maybe just 1 or 2 to try and help out there. But he is going to use Colossus here instead. Blink being utilized here, blinking these guys back, but it's got to get them back into the fight here. He's got Void Rays to kill. It looks like Shooter is taking down quite a few of those units. Some good force fields being used there, keeping these guys at bay. And now the Immortals may be in a little bit of trouble for Lobber's army. Cannot allow them to get into the range of those Colossus, however. Void Ray is trying to pick off these Colossus. Looks like they're not even focusing it down at this point. And the ground army is going to die. Blink being used here very liberally by Shooter. That's going to enable him to take out these Void Rays. Unbelievable, blinking forward, taking them out. There is one Colossus here for Lobber, but it is not quite going to be enough. These 2 Colossus from Shooter still on the field, blinking forward, and he's chasing these guys down. And it looks as though Shooter might be in good position to potentially take down this win. Does Lobber have an answer to this? He cannot really pull probes at this point. Probes just are no good against Colossus, and there it goes. Oh, Lobber says, wait, some of those were real, weren't they? Oh, yeah. And Shooter does reply with the yeah, and there's the GG from Lobber. So, nicely done. Great attitude here from Shooter. It's been a wonderful series between these guys. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be following Shooter into his next match. We'll catch you guys then.